Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I welcome you to the program The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as a teacher. So today we are going to explore the relationship between teacher and student that we learn in the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "My relationship with you is just like a relationship between father and son. So I am here to teach you." Now this hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells us about what kind of relationship should be there between student and teacher. So the relationship between teacher and student is to be reflected in terms of care. So as a teacher, you should be caring about your students. So the relationship between teacher and student is not just like the relationship between a client or a service provider. No, this relationship is that of care and compassion. So you should be caring about, the character of your students, the thoughts of your students, the, perspectives of your students. So you should be working on all the dimensions of your students without, having any sort of materialistic reward, any sort of materialistic perspective. So there should be purity in the relationship between student and teacher, just like we have a family. For example, father is there and his sons and daughters are there. So the father is caring about his family, like sons and daughters, and he's working for them, for their well-being. So as a teacher, you should be working for the well-being of your students, and you should be just like caregiver, right? You are there to, of course, teach your subject, your specific subject, and of course you are supposed to be working in your domain and contributing to your domain and helping your students learn that specific subject. But with that, your work should not be in isolation. Now what I mean to say is that you should be reflecting through your actions, through your practices and words, that really you care for your students. You are careful about their future. You are careful about their, practices and their words and their behavior. So, you have good feelings for your students. And we read in the Holy Quran, Allah Almighty says, "Wama arsalnaka illa rahmatan lil alameen." And we have not sent you, O Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but as mercy for the worlds. So this quality of mercy is something that, should be reflected in the practices of believers, because they follow the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So as a teacher, as a believer, and as a follower of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you should be very compassionate and you should be showing mercy towards your students. You should be caring about, their even their personal life, what is happening in their personal life. For example, a student is there and he or she is disturbed. So you should be having at that time empathy. Along with sympathy, you should be having empathy. It means that you should be thinking about their emotional experience, what kind of problems they are facing in their life. So you cannot limit yourself just to teaching teaching your subject, or just to your domain or specific specific responsibility. Like you are there to teach a specific subject, but you should be thinking about the background of your students. And this is something that is taught to the teachers nowadays. We learn about pedagogy, we learn about the art of teaching. We have sessions, we have workshops for teachers, professional development. So they are trained about, the things that they should be caring about, and they should be thinking about the different backgrounds of their students. If they're having problems and issues at home, so of course, these, problems and issues will be impacting their mentality, impacting their learning. So teachers should not be like, using the approach that is called one size fits all approach. No, that is discouraged even in the teaching profession. So when you are following the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you should exhibit and you should show in your practices that you care for your students, you care for their thoughts, for their practices. And of course, if you have a good character, a good example in terms of your practices and in terms of your behavior and attitude, so of course this will be transferred to students, and the students will be following your attitude and your behavior, the way you deal with the things. This all this practice will be transferred to your students. So as a believer, as the one who believes in Allah Almighty and follows the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaches you that you should care for your students, and you should think about the development of their personalities in all the dimensions, whether the dimension is moral, social, spiritual, or intellectual.